Hello everybody and welcome back to Kerbal Space Program, where last episode things went a little bit off the rails. We did spend some money, as you can see here, in a live stream that was linked in the description of last episode. So if you'd like to see the live stream in which we spent some money, you can definitely do that. The VOD is linked there. But let's hop over to the tracking station actually and take a look at what we did. So, we need to get rid of this debris. This debris does not need to exist. But we can get rid of that, and then we'll hop over to the engineer mover. We definitely created a bit of a memory leak in KSP. It was running pretty laggy by the end of the stream there, but that's all completely fine. We are doing much better on this now. So that's great. All we need now is to bring in one final tank. So that is amazing. We're going to have that come in eventually. We were pretty messy on some of these struts, no doubt about it. But we need to bring in one more tank, but we need cash. We would have had enough, but I was dumb and blew one of our tanks up. So there is that. We're going to hop back to the Space Center here, and we need to make money. That needs to be our focus right now for the time being. I want to clean up contracts before we really finish up that project. And what projects do we need to clean up in terms of contracts? Now, we're not planning on actually doing the Gilly mining mission because we're going to cancel that contract. That will cost us a little bit of money. We're just treating this as a loan right now. We need to go to Duna, and is there any more contracts for that? A new orbital station around Duna? Bring back Duna Ejecta from Ike? Probably not on either of those. So that'll be fine. We are going to land on Duna, but that's not a this episode thing. I want to actually get our moon mining done this episode because we need the cash from that to be able to go to Duna. So we're going to open up our moon miner here. That's this one right here. So obviously this is too heavy. I was reading KER wrong when we put this together, and we are going to ditch these tanks here and put this back on quad symmetry. Now that's going to be a little awkward. We're going to need to move this around probably. I want to detach all of these, and I want to remove these radial decouplers, honestly. And what are we going to do? We are going to make these be like cubic octagonal struts instead, and we're going to mount them about here. Then we're going to grab these holding tanks and place them in like that. Approximately. I want it to be on the cubic octagonal struts. There we go. So that should be reasonably fine. Now, in terms of our thrust to weight here, this engine is firing in stage 0 here. That's 0.81 thrust to weight. So this right here is still too much. And that's with these tanks empty. Now, do we need this small holding tank? We have these 4, which can carry up to 1,200. So the answer is no, we do not. So we can ditch this holding tank. That will be a little bit of weight savings. So we get rid of that. And that'll also make this thing a little less tall, which is always nice. Go back to bicoupling, and we would... No, back to bicoupling. There we go. And we would place these right about here. I want the radiator panel to still be in here. Only a single radiator panel. That should be all we need there. There we go. And then we still need our communications. So we'll put in that right here. Cool. So that puts us at 0.83 with this empty. With this full, we're at half a thrust to weight. So we clearly need to power up some of this. I want to power up this stage here. So we're going to move this adapter to be here. We're going to ditch this stage in its entirety. And then we're going to go for a... Let's see. Like a... I would think like a Jumbo 64, but I think that's overkill for this stage. I think that a X232 would be absolutely fine. And then we would push this with a Poodle. There we go. Something along the lines of this. And then we would have a decoupler here. That would go here with a TD25, and then we would lift it like that. Now, what's this thrust to weight? 1.59, that's actually still good. So that'll do just fine. We've got a lot more power here. We've got less weight here. Now, the question then becomes, how can we shed additional weight or add additional power here? That's a good question. I think adding additional power is likely the way to go, so we ditch the pug. And instead, we would go for something along the lines of, I still want this to be a vacuum optimized, but instead something like a terrier. Like that. What's that thrust to weight? 1.21. And what is it full? Oh, that is with it full. Okay, so that's stage 0. Of course, we want to ditch these nose cones a little bit faster. I want those off in their own stage. Okay, these can be combined together. I'm assuming these can as well. Yes. Something kind of like this. Okay, so looking at thrust to weights here, we are reasonably fine here, and then here we would be fine as well in theory, because this would be much higher up and lighter. So in theory, for getting into orbit. And then this would be much higher as well. So let's put this over Kerbal. 3.71, 2.46 in stage 3, 0.28 in stage 2, and then in 1, only 0.08, but that's fine. We, of course, don't want this to have full ore, and we've got plenty of fuel here in theory. That should be fine. So this should be much better, assuming I'm reading this correctly, and now we can't accidentally stage this and get rid of those. We could put additional engines down here, like we could put little pugs on here, just to help out, and they would also carry a little bit more fuel. That is an option. So if we put that back over the moon, stage 1 here is currently 4.85. I feel like that's overkill, though. And how much money is that? That's only 2,000. Honestly, that might not be the worst idea. We do that just to make sure. Okay, so this should lift no problem. Let's go ahead and launch this. And we're going to take it out to the moon. This landing should go absolutely fine, in theory. In theory. We've tested it with the tanks full, the holding tanks full. So we should have plenty of thrust to weight here. I want to double check our staging, make sure that that's absolutely correct. That's all good. Yes. Yes. And I mean, we're going to want to stage this at a slightly different time, but this is fine. Like maybe we would move this to stage like here. Okay. Throttle up, SAS on, and off we go. Let's do this. We put power back on there. Just wanted to double check that. That's absolutely fine. Gonna start our gravity turn here. Going to need to be somewhat cautious with it. Okay, we'll just hold here. Call that good. It doesn't have to be the most efficient transfer because we should have more than enough delta V. I'm expecting to be able to land on this stage, technically. So that should be fine. And off we go. 350 meters per second. Our apoapsis is about double our height. That's reasonable. I want to pull this over a little bit more. Okay, we're picking up a little bit of a roll there from aerodynamic forces. That's fine. We'll just hold here until our SRBs are burnt out, and then we'll probably head over towards the horizon. Pretty high up in the apoapsis, we have a lot of vertical speed here. That's reasonably expected, in all honesty. Okay. SRBs are going to detach soon. I don't want to move until our SRBs are detached. Clean separation. We are picking up a roll here. I'm attempting to counteract that. It's slightly difficult. Our apoapsis height is very high. So I'm going to head over towards the horizon here. Our apoapsis height can be high. That's okay. I just want to pick up horizontal speed for the moment. As much as we can afford. We're going to stop at about 150, I think. That'll be okay. 148, 149, and 150. We're pretty low on our horizontal speed. There's no doubt about that one, but it's okay. So we circularize this about like so. How circularized is that? Not tremendously. I think I chose the wrong time for it. Okay. It's close enough. So we will lock to that maneuver node. We can extend our antenna at this point, as well as our solar panels. There we go. And we're just going to slowly turn on over towards this thing. I'm going to physics warp for the moment. Boy, this reaction wheel is really struggling. I'm not shocked about that, to be clear. But that reaction wheel is really struggling. We've got about a minute to this burn, though, so I'm not too concerned about that. We're going to use a fair amount of this stage to circularize, but that's okay. We'll have plenty. Burn is in about 5 seconds here. 3, 2, 1, burn. And off we go. So we're going to use the last bit of our booster stage here, and then a little bit of this stage. Cool. This thing is pretty overbuilt, so assuming our thrust to weight calculations are correct, this time it should be fine. Oh, right. I forgot that that was going to be then. Sure. Well, we'll see if we come back and strike them. I think we're going to miss them. Yes, that's all good. I definitely forgot that they were right then. But that's my own fault. And we didn't suffer any damage for it, so it's all good. Okay, let's just get this into orbit here. We are starting to fall right now, but that's fine. We just want an orbit. We don't care too much. Getting a lot of rocking there while we are physics warped, which I don't love. But this is good enough. Cool. So we are going to set the moon as our target, and we don't really need to worry too much about the ascending and descending node. I'm just going to... we're going to want to move this like over here. And let's just see what we can get. That's not awful. We can maybe fine-tune that a little bit. Oh, yeah. 152. Cool. It's going to be a pretty big burn for braking, but that's fine. We don't really care where we land on the moon, to be clear. So we'll physics warp our way over to this burn location. And then we'll warp on over once we get oriented correctly. This thing is a weird little device that we've created. There's no doubt about that. This thrust to weight over Kerbal is 0.81, so we should be absolutely fine. Okay. We're going to warp on over. And let's get burning for the moon. Well, here in about another 30 seconds. There we go. Ready for that burn? In 3, 2, 1, now. Once again, this is going to be a fairly lengthy burn. So we're going to physics warp this a bit. I'd like to get it done fairly quickly. We are definitely picking up a bit of a shimmy, which I don't love. But it's okay. What is that? That is some debris, I think? Oh, that's our comsat. We're only like 12 kilometers away from our comsat. Pretty neat. Okay. I don't like that shimmy, but we don't have to use this for too much longer. There we go. That'll do. So at this periapsis, we want to burn retrograde about like so. And we don't have to circularize it, but we can just bring it down like that so that we can choose when we want to land. And I want to land on the day side. That will be the plan. Okay, we want to head over towards this maneuver node. We are currently tumbling pretty hard, and let's stop that tumble. There we go. But off to the moon we go. There we go. I feel like this gimbal is maybe like too strong, and that's what's happening there. We'll try thrust limit, or rather limiting that down to like 10%. Okay. So we will get in position for this burn. Any moment now. Close enough. Let's go ahead and warp. And it'll drift maybe a little bit. We'll see. But that's fine. We need to get in here. Fantastic. So all we need is 1050 units of ore. And actually, we might be able to land your ore on Eve. Oh, that's exciting. We're probably not going to bother with that. Although we probably could if we're not planning on taking off again. Regardless, we're going to warp forward here. Okay, we're going to begin this burn very shortly. 3, 2, 1, burn. And where are we currently? We're like here? Yeah, I think we should go around one orbit until we land, and land like somewhere over this way. That would be probably ideal. So we'll bring this all in. $30 meters per second to go there. Good enough. We'll warp around to about the apoapsis. And, well, actually, we'll warp to, like, here. And then we will bring this in to land something like this. And then we'll kill our horizontal velocity. Okay. So let's physics warp our way around to that. That's a pretty hefty burn, or rather, pretty hefty turn, not a burn at all. And we'll position over here. Looks like we've overshot slightly, but it is getting corrected. Cool. Do these gimbal? They actually don't. The Terrier gimbals, though. So that's fine. Okay, let's warp on around. And we're going to flip into surface mode here. This is going to be very close to surface retrograde, but I just want to bring us in so that we can choose our location a little bit more closely, or a little bit more carefully, shall we say. Okay, physics warping a bit, and let's warp towards this burn. 10 seconds. And let's burn. Okay. We're now on a suborbital trajectory. And there's an eclipse. Okay, so Kerbal is currently eclipsing the sun. That's going to make things interesting. I meant to come in on the day side, but yeah, there's currently a lunar eclipse happening here. Exciting. Well, we can fire up KER and attempt to get some information on that. We want to show engineer, and currently this is saying that our suicide burn will be in like 20 minutes. So I'm hoping that we'll have vision by then. But this is certainly very awkward. Okay, this is now saying 17 minutes. We need to maintain on the retrograde. Turning is hard when we've got all of this. It should be much easier, by the way, once we get rid of this. Our turning should come up a lot. But yeah, this eclipse is making things pretty spicy, if I'm honest. It's very, very dark. No doubt about that. So we'll just continue to warp in a bit here. We can see that we are heading down. And we'll just have to go via instruments, primarily. We've got a lot of time at this moment. 14 minutes, to be precise. Okay. I'd be a lot more comfortable with this if we had visuals. But we need to not go that way, because we need to physics warp at this time and get turned back to retrograde. When will that eclipse end? Looks like it's going this way. So it should start peaking out over here somewhat soon. We've got about 10 minutes left here until the suicide burn, but I don't want to actually burn at the suicide burn marker because this is not the actual trajectory that I want to come in at. So yeah, 10 minutes there still. So we'll give it a couple more minutes. I keep hoping that we're going to have visuals here soon. 7 minutes to go. Well, that's exciting. Okay. 6 minutes to go. It is coming this direction, but this is going to be interesting. We're going to physics warp at this point until we're back at surface retrograde, and I think we're just going to alter our velocity here. I do want to do a lot of this from this view since we can actually kind of see something. Kind of. So that'll be interesting. Once we are at suicide burn of 5 minutes, we're going to burn out this entire tank on surface retrograde. I want to get rid of a bunch of horizontal speed. So we can continue to warp forward here a little bit. I wish that it didn't change this when we were in warp. That would be awfully nice. But it does. So 4, 3, 2, 1, now. Okay. So we're going to burn out this entire tank here. And that'll be fine. Using that to kill most of our horizontal velocity. You can see our horizontal speed here. We're killing some vertical velocity as well, but it's almost all going into horizontal. About another 100 meters per second here. $50 more. Okay. And off we go. So at this point, I want to extend our landing legs. And we've killed a lot of our horizontal speed, but by no means have we killed all of it. I want to kill basically all of our horizontal speed right now. I do wish I knew where we were landing, but here we are. Okay, so this is 100 meters per second to go in horizontal speed. 70. 50. 20. 10. Okay, that's about what we're going to get. So we're going to flip over to retrograde at this point. I was hoping that we would be turning a little faster than this, but this is reasonably acceptable. Okay, I was also hoping that we would have some sunlight by now. That is very awkward. We're going to have to do this by instrument. Okay. Very little in terms of visuals here. Well, we can see we're still quite high. About 1 minute till our suicide burn here. So I'm going to physics warp a bit here. We're gonna burn a little before this suicide burn. I rarely trust this number. So we're gonna burn like 10 seconds before. But yeah, we're just going to have to go entirely by instrument. It's really, really dark. I'm going to try to keep silhouettes lined up so that people can see things. I know YouTube has a hard time with dark, but hopefully this will do. I did not include lights on this thing because I was not planning on landing it in an eclipse. That was awkward, for sure. So we're going to start our burn here in about 8 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1... now. And we're just going to slow this down pretty dramatically. Okay. We're at about 50 meters per second now. Gonna take it down to about 20. There we go. I'm burning very, very gently right now just to gimbal and help us hold steady. Okay. So we're about 2.6 kilometers above right now. Once again, we're going to suicide burn about 10 seconds before. We have to do this fully by instrument. Usually I eyeball it, and I'm not used to doing it this way. So I think all we're going to do is we're going to suicide burn 10 seconds before, push that up to somewhere around 30 seconds, like that. Okay, we can see that we're currently about 1,000 meters above the surface. So I'd like to start decelerating a bit here. Okay. And we can see that the suicide burn countdown is getting closer right now, which is good. That means that we will impact the surface right now, going like this. I'm just hoping that we will impact the surface going slowly enough. Okay, now it's actually going back up. So we're going to drop our thrust a little bit. We're still 500 meters up. I'm going to completely drop our thrust for the moment. This would be a lot easier if I could actually eyeball it. Okay. We're about 5 seconds from the suicide burn right now. I do want to start decelerating again. Okay, we're only about 100 meters up right now. Okay, we're landed. We can't see anything, but we're landed. Let's go ahead and time warp from here until this eclipse is over. Where's Kerbal at? I don't know where Kerbal is right now. It is very dark. So we're just going to time warp from here at like 100x. Okay, it's starting to get light now. Cool. There it is up there. Fantastic. So let's let that go a bit. Let's let that eclipse end. And there we go. Now we can see things. Beautiful. Let's deploy our drills. That was weird. I've definitely never landed on pure instruments before. It was certainly exciting. We need to activate this radiator, and let's... No ground contact. Oh, we don't quite reach? Okay. We're going to try to retract our landing struts. That's spicy. And let's just try to settle here. This is not awkward at all. This is definitely not awkward. Okay, well, I'm going to go ahead and put a cut in here. It's going to take a while to fill this up. So that's going to be exciting. You can leave your offerings to the engagement gods in the form of likes, comments, subscribes, and bell ringings. And a very special thank you to all of the channel members for making this video possible, including Casserole, Sigma162, JJ Gamer, Spartan News, Nick Smarty, Video Games Are Not Real, Dimitri H, Punching the Microphone, and all the rest. And of course, you. Thank you for watching. If you'd like to support the channel, you can click the join button down below the video. And as always, I will see you all next time. That wasn't awkward at all. There was nothing awkward about any of that, for the record.